ask you this. I was being facetious, but, there is a big conversation now that we are having about crime.
Yes.
Shootings in New York City have risen over these past 2 years and are now at 20% level, I guess higher than what they were since the stopping of stop and frisk. It can't be that the only way we can control shootings in New York City is what appears to be an unconstitutional and angering program of stop and frisk.
Right.
But this appears to be a real thing.
Well, let me say it a little differently. When Bill Bratton came in as our commissioner, I named him commissioner.
Right.
First press conference, he said, in terms of stop and frisk, you can't break the law to enforce the law.
Right.
And that, from the beginning, was the template we took. So, can you drive down crime while respecting constitutional rights? Absolutely, because my first year in office, Bill Bratton's first year as commissioner, crime went down from 2013 to 2014, the lowest number of murders in New York City in 50 years.
Right.
Crime
and I
went
guess
down
you're saying we can do better.
We absolutely
We can kill more people.
No.
Now I've
you misinterpreted.
All right, let me go back to this.
There's been a horrible misunderstanding.
All right, I understand.
So we brought down murder to a rate we had not seen since the early 60s.
Right.
We brought down crime across the board. We do have a shooting problem. We had a shooting problem last year. We had a shooting problem this year. Nothing like New York City had 15, 20 years ago, let's be clear. But something's persistent, it's particularly around gangs. Mm-hmm. And we have new strategies to go in there, both with aggressive policing, but also gang intervention, which is the process of undermining gang recruitment at the community level, which has been proven to work all over the country. Those strategies need to be applied. Going back to an unconstitutional, alienating approach is not only inappropriate and unfair to the populace, it doesn't work. It ties up a ton of police time and energy into things that aren't actually going after serious crime. So I think we're broadly on the right track. Mm-hmm. But look, what are we doing? We're retraining our police force on how to work more closely with the community. Right. We're doing body cameras, which is going to instill, I think, a lot more confidence between police and community. We are providing a lot more technology to the NYPD so they can be more effective. I think these pieces are going to add up because people are not wasting time on unnecessary and unconstitutional stops and are not wasting time on low-level marijuana arrests either.
Well, that I'm with you on. But how do you bring up that morale? By the way, is a pound low level? All right. Because you have communities that feel like the police force does not respect them and treats them like they are an occupying army in an area. And then you have a police force that feels disrespected or feels like the bad police officers are being used to tar them in a systemic way. How do you bridge those gaps in the community so that people feel like they're both being treated fairly when you know as well as I do, the minute murders go up and the minute shootings go up, political pressure is going to become immense. Get this out of our sight. People don't care about the Constitution when they feel like it's not safe.
Well, I think the good news is in this city we had a real thorough debate and people did vote in favor of constitutional rights and respect for communities while having strong policing. There's no dichotomy here. Look, in the end, a safer city is one in which police and community have a very powerful, strong working relationship that encourages a community to share information with the police. Police officers will tell you, there's people in every community, law-abiding people who know exactly where the weapons are, know where the bad guys are. We want them on the side of police. We want that bond between them and police. We find, as we have been making our reforms and bringing police and community back together, we're seeing a different relationship. We have a civilian complaint review board. The complaints to it are down 25% from a year ago because people are starting to move past some of those divisions of the past. And ultimately, everyone wants good and decent policing, and police want to be proud of their profession as they have a right to.
Are they bringing more cops from areas, policing areas they're from, as opposed to coming in from other?
Look, policing areas you're from, and another variation on this, of course, is community policing. Applying the officers, regardless of where they come from, applying them to one community and keeping them there long enough to actually develop relationships with people on the ground and get to know the community. Right. These are the kinds of things that work, that create trust, that create mutual respect, that keep communities safer, but also officers safer.
Here's the other thing that bothers me. They always, like everything else, they want to go to the end of the line of the supply chain, but they never want to deal with, why aren't we down in Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, where these guns are coming from, and stopping and frisking gun stores? Why do we have to wait and somehow put it all on communities, when the truth is there is a gun running operation that is going on from the South that everybody knows about,
Yep.
but nobody will in any way address.
This is a fight that we have to undertake in our country. Ask the leadership of the NYPD, they will tell you that a single gun recently came out of Georgia, recirculated from crime to crime. It was used in various shootings around the city. One gun.
Oh, is that? I've heard of that. The zip gun program. That's you get the gun, you use it for a crime, and then obviously you bring it back and someone else signs it out.
Very sophisticated.
It's about resource. But again, they know this, and they know that the places that are doing this, they know the people that are doing it, but they are unable to use for all the surveillance we have in this country, for all the information that we have. They're really telling us you don't know where this stuff is coming from and we can't stop it? It's
a political will question. And look, if I was going to think about the big structure of how to get progressive change on an issue like that, we're not going to get to greater unity as a nation on an issue like gun control until we deal with economic reality first. I've always believed that when you get to progressive economics, taxing the wealthy, raising minimum wage, et cetera, you actually are going to unite people across regions and different backgrounds and different faiths. And that may be the beginning of a more common politics and a more common set of values that someday may lead to the realization that people who want the respect for the right to have a firearm, that does not have to equate with a situation that leads firearms to end up in our streets killing people in the hands of criminals. That's going to take a lot of transcendence. That's going to take a lot of work. But I actually think economics is the most unifying force.
And is the way to do it then to say we've got to create economies within those communities that can combat the underground economies in those communities. Because if I'm a kid, if I'm 10 years old and I have crappy pants and a crappy shirt and I see some other kid who doesn't, I'm going to be pissed off about that and think, well, that's the only way out. You know, you have to find a way to economically compete with that to give any hope to it.
That's exactly right. We look at what happened in Baltimore, and part of it was police-community relations, but a lot of that was economic reality. If you have a community of people who have rarely seen consistent economic opportunity, you cannot be surprised if that community is in many ways disconnected from the larger society around it. If people don't feel a sense of economic hope, unfortunately, that's where crime breeds, that's where gangs breed. Kids that know they have opportunity ahead are much less attracted to gangs. One time I was in the South Bronx and a former gang member said something simple to me. He said, recognize the fact that for a lot of kids, if they're convinced there is no hope up ahead, they're not going to get to college, they're not going to get to a career, then a gang looks very attractive. It looks like a family, it looks like a home. We have to show young people there's actually a way forward to a decent economic future.
But this is the same conversation we could be having about Baltimore 40 years ago.
Yes.
And liberal policies, democratic policies have been in place in those areas. And it was the same thing. They would say, we got to bring these areas hope, we got to bring these areas opportunity, and yet...
Well, but here's the problem that we just defined a moment ago. If people have been going backwards economically all over the country, the average American family, again, the last 25 years, going backwards.
Right.
Well, if you're in a poorer community, that's hitting you even harder. So wages have not kept up with the cost of living. Opportunity has gotten more constrained. Where have been the strong growth areas in the economy? The Walmarts and the other places that pay a very low wage. So no, we have not. We've invested in certain programs. Some worked better, some worked worse, but we haven't built an economy that's actually inclusive.
You know what's nice about that is it does show in terms of economic. They always talk about trickle-down economics, and riches don't, but poverty does. Poverty trickles down, and boy, does that
exactly
suck.
right.
Yeah.
That's what we've been experiencing for a long time, and that's why addressing income inequality head-on, talking about the fact that the current political reality is just not working, actually is where we find the breakthrough.
And then you feel like you're going to stay 6'7", it's fine. You're not going to give any of that away.
I said income inequality. I did not say height inequality.
Mayor Bill, the ball.